Fusion Mobile, quality e-learning experience on the go.
Hello and you're welcome to Fusion Mobile e-learning platform. This is the subject economics. My name is Uchenna, and the study session we have here is on population. Population is actually looking at how people actually live in a particular area or a country, just a geographical area. It could be a country, it could be a state. It depends on what we are talking about. Now here we have a course outline, a session outline. We have the definition of population, the population census. We have under that, then we have population growth, aging, optimum, overpopulation, underpopulation, then population theories, population structure, and some other ones. Now, by the time we talk about the word population in economics or in any case is defined as the total people living in a particular geographical area or environment. You see, that means that population actually looks at the inhabitants of a particular area. In certain subjects, population does not only include human beings, but here we are talking about only the human beings that live in a particular geography. So, talking about the population census, the population census talks about the head count or enumeration of the individuals that live in a particular geographical area. Now, usually, population census is taken at regular intervals, whilst in some other cases, well, it is not like that. Now, the population census is taken because of certain reasons. So we are going to look at what the importance of population census. Importance of population census. Now, what are the reasons for which we could conduct population census? Number one, to estimate or determine the total number of people to assess the distribution or structure of the population. Three, four, it is useful for planning, formulating, for planning. Okay. Number four, it is useful for policy formulation and implementation. Number five. It reveals the available manpower, the population, population census, makes data available for assessing standard of living. Of living. Now, these and some more make up the factors, the importance or the uses of population census. We could also say that population census could be used to divide the country into constituencies and regions for political reasons. These are the importance. But now, by the time let's have a quick rundown. We have that it determines the total number of people. Then it helps to assess the structure of the population. That is to know whether how the population is being distributed, the number of males and females, that is sex distribution, the number of people within a particular state or geographical area or region, that is geographical area, geographical distribution. Then age distribution, which is the structure in terms of dependents, working population, old people, infants, and so on and so forth. Now, these make up the structure of the population, and it is through population census we're able to assess that. Then it is useful. That means population is useful for what? For planning and developmental purposes. When you want to make plans or make development plans, you can use the population to make census to make your forecasts and so on. Then it is useful for policy formulation and implementation, depending on the nature and structure of the population. That determines the program or the policy that will be going on. Then the next one is that it reveals the available manpower, that is the quantity of people, the number of people that fall within the working population. Now, the last is that population census makes data available for assessing standard of living. And standard of living, which is calculated from your per capita income, is equal to what? Is equal to national income or GNP, national income divided by total population. So without the population census to give us this figure, then there won't be a PCI to calculate. Now, and so on and so forth. Actually, that other one, it can also be used to make forecasts and some other good uses. Now, the second part, the next part is to look at the problems of population census in Nigeria. Problems of population census in Nigeria. What are the things that face or that impede effective population So we'll be looking at the next one, which is problems encountered while that does not encourage effective population census. When we say effective population census, we are talking about what is the thing that makes population census a problem. Now, secondly, the first one is illiteracy and ignorance. Second is poor or lack of trained and adequate manpower. 3, absence of proper statistical and analytical tools. For town planning. 5. Unwillingness of the people. 6. Superstition. Now, when we look at these, we have the first one is illiteracy and ignorance. A lot of people do not believe they have to be enumerated or counted among other people just because they do not know the benefits that accrue to a country when it knows the number of people in the population. And the second one says that there's lack of adequate manpower and trained manpower, not just adequate. Power might be adequate, but they are not efficient. Now, in this case, we are talking about manpower that is trained, that can actually go and do the enumeration. Then, we also have absence of proper statistical and analytical tools, which means people, even after data is collected, certain things have to be employed to analyze the data collected and get good figures and good data for that. Then poor town planning. Poor town planning means there are certain places that is impossible to reach because of the poor town planning system. For instance, some places that are within the riverine areas, not everybody is encouraged to get into such places. Then the other one, unwillingness of the people to be enumerated because of their level of illiteracy, while the last one is superstition. We also have the case of inavailability of funds. Now, funds, when the elections cost, population census costs quite a lot, and it means you cannot just conduct it without having the adequate funds. Many a time, most African countries or developing countries do not embark on population census simply because of the cost there. So they have to generate the costs, what to be used for bearing the cost before it can be conducted. These are the problems which can be faced when calculating population census. We'll go to the next one, population size and growth. Population size and population growth. Population size and growth. Definitely, population size is just the number of people, the quantity of individuals that live within a particular state or country. That is the population size. So which means, like, population size of Nigeria now is put at up to 140 or 150 million, but the population of Lagos is put at 4 million or 5 million. And we know all these are population sizes. But by the time we talk about this, about population growth. Population growth is defined as the rate of increase or the percentage increase on the size of the population measured over a period of time. usually in a year. Now, population growth, since we said it is what? Percentage increase. So which means population growth is made up of two factors. Population growth is made up of natural growth rate plus net plus net migration. Population growth is divided into two parts. We have the natural growth rate and net migration. That means that within a year, if there's increase in natural growth rate or an increase in net migration, or both of them might be, then it will lead to an increase in the population size. That increase in population size, the increase, is what we refer to as population growth. Now, let's see. Here, natural growth rate is equal to birth rate less death rate, while net migration is equal to number of immigrants minus emigrants. Now, this is talking about what? The population growth. Now, any factor that can affect either of these factors directly affects the population size or population growth. Before we go on, you will see questions scrolling on your screen. Look at them, and we'll back up after the timeout. Now, what are the determinants? The factors that determine the population growth is birth rate, death rate, and so on and so forth. But we are going to itemize factors affecting population size and growth. So from here, it means we have number one is birth rate, number two, death rate, number three, migration, number four, improved, medical facilities, five, ratio of male to female, six, war, 7, natural disasters, or natural disasters, infant mortality rate, now birth rate is defined as the number of births per thousand of the population. Death rate is defined as the number of deaths per thousand of the population. That means the number of people that die for every 1,000 of the population. The same thing, the number of births, live births, not stillbirths. Then the next thing is migration. Migration is the number of people or rate at which people move out or come into a place, a country. So people that are moving out of a country, they are called emigrants, while the people that are coming into the country are called immigrants. Now the next one, the next one is what? Medical facilities. Improved medical facilities will definitely reduce death rates and might definitely increase birth rates. And that will, if it improves, then there will be low infant mortality rate. Then ratio of male to female means that there will either be lesser people giving birth or more. Then the war and natural disasters increase death rates. Now, this is a summary of factors that lead to population growth and size. Now, with a quick one, we shall take a look at the population growth, how we can calculate. All right. So, this is an example or a hypothetical question, something we could actually use to check or calculate the population size after a period. Now, here is the population of Surulere at the beginning of year 2000 was 5 million. During the year, births were 300,000 and deaths were 220,000. The immigrants were 50,000 while emigrants were 20,000. Calculate the population figure at the year's end. Now, what we do is, first off, population size at beginning of the year. Population size at beginning of year was 5 million people. Then I have number of births is 300,000 less number of deaths to give us 220,000. So this is, when you subtract, we have 80,000 here. For immigrants, we've got 50,000, while emigrants we have 20,000. Giving us, when we subtract, of course we subtract as well, that gives us 30,000. So adding all this up, this is the natural growth size, this is the net migration size. So this is net migration, this is natural growth. By the time we now add it, population at end of the year, at year's end, will now be 5,110,000. That is to add this, this, and this. But now, what is the difference between this and this? That means 5,110,000 and 5 million is our population, is the growth in population size. Now, that means my population size or population growth is growth itself is 110,000, not 5,110,000. It is just the difference between the initial population and the final population, just these two. So that gives us that. So that is talking about population size and population growth. Now we take a look at some other concepts in population. That will include overpopulation, underpopulation, dependency ratio, and population structure. Now these things, then we'll also look at population theories. Now, looking at the first one, we have types. Okay, population types. Okay, types of population. That is where we have the aging population, we have the dependent population, we have overpopulation, underpopulation, optimum population, we have now these things we have dependent population. Yeah, now these ones we have seen, we have some of them here. We have aging population, some of the population, overpopulation. Okay, we don't have the other ones. So now aging population is a population that is dominated by old people only. That means that the percentage of people that are older in the population is higher. The implication of an aging population definitely is that the population is actually not productive. It is less productive because the number of people and development will be a bit slow because the number of workers are actually that are actually feeding or taking care of more old people. That means lesser productivity, yet more dependence. So there will be prevalence of poverty, lower investment, increase in suffering, and so on and so forth. Now those are the things, and making the population less productive. Now the next one we talk about is a dependent population. A dependent population is a type of population which the proportion of dependents are more than the ones that are working, that are active. The active part of the population are those that are still productive, that are willing, that are able to work, that are earning income or doing one form of production or the other. But the dependents are made up of the infants or the younger ones that are not up to school leaving age and the elderly ones. When you combine the two of them, you have the total dependence. Now, the dependent population here has a high dependency ratio, meaning that the proportion of dependents to the working population is high. That is what dependency ratio means, that the ratio of dependents, it is the ratio of dependents to the working population, and dependents is made up of the adolescents and infants and the old age, that is excluding the working population. Now the next one, talking about overpopulation, underpopulation and optimum population. It is the form of population that were determined by comparing output per unit to the what, to the resources that are available. Now let's go. Overpopulation is a type of population in which the output per unit is low, owing to the fact that the resources cannot sustain the population size. What that means is that the productivity or the resources that are available, when utilized by the population, there will be unemployment and average production will reduce. There will be unemployment due to excess of population over the resources that are available. But underpopulation is a type of population which actually comes up as a result of where you have low output per head. This time not because the resources are stressed or because there is unemployment of labor due to overpopulation, due to high population size, but because the population that is available cannot adequately utilize the resources that are available. The population cannot adequately utilize the available resources. That is what makes up for what? Underpopulation. For underpopulation, there is going to be underemployment of resources because a lot of things will be left to lie fallow in many cases. Then the optimum population is a type of population in which the output per head is at the highest point because it is able to utilize fully the resources that are available. Now this wraps up on the case of types of population. Now let's look at population structure and distribution of population. Distribution and structure of population talks about certain basis which is used to divide or delimit the population. Now we have under population distribution, we are talking about how dense or the way that population is being distributed according to certain basis, which is sex, geography and age. Now this population distribution determines the structure of the population. Now, we have types of population distribution. Types of distribution in population. We have age, let's say sex distribution, age distribution, and geographical distribution. Sex distribution, age distribution, and geographical distribution. Now we look at the first one. Sex distribution is the division of population or classification of the population based on gender. That means we will have male and female part of the population. both whether they are young, middle-aged, mature, or old. Now, the second one talks about what? Age distribution. Age distribution is this division of population based on what? Certain age brackets. According to this, we divide population based on what? 3 basic age brackets. The 0 to 17, which are referred to as the what? Infants and adolescents. Some other cases this could be, okay, some other cases we could have 0 to 10, we have 11 to 17, then 18 to 60, then 61 and above. Now, this and this is infants, adolescents, the what? Working population, and the what? The old age. Now, these are 4 divisions, but basically 3. Normally, in most cases, you have 0 to 17 years. So, age, classification of population by age, thereby bringing up what? Dependent, infant, adolescent, working population, and old age is what you have as what? Age distribution. Now, the total dependents, like we said before, dependents, you have the old age plus just every other thing excluding the working population is the number of dependents in a population. Now, the last one is geographical distribution of population. This is the distribution of population based on geographical contiguity or geographical locations of where people live. So different areas, different population sizes. Now, last but not least, on that you have population theories. We have the population theories. The first one, we have what we call the what? Malthusian theory. And we have the what? Demographic transition theory. Of population. Each of them is a theory of population. Now, the first one, the Malthusian theory of population, is a theory of population that actually looks at the relationship between population growth and growth of resources. Now, at the time, the theory was actually propounded by a man called Reverend Thomas Robert Malthus. Now, Reverend Malthus actually came up with the idea, looking at, in his paper on essays on population, came up with the assumptions that, one, that population, if unchecked, will increase more than the resources that are available for sustaining them. That is one. Secondly, he says that the reason for poverty is that population definitely in a long period of time, that if not checked, population will grow far more than the source of sustaining it. And the last case, which is a summary, says that while population is growing at a geometric rate, the sources of sustenance, that is the resources available, grow at an arithmetic rate. That is the reason for poverty and starvation in less developed countries, because population control measures are not put in place. Now, based on his findings that thing then certain population measures have now been applied by a lot of developing or developed countries that has put a check on population growth rate. Now, with that, then let's move on to the second one, which we refer to as the what? The demographic transition theory. This theory was actually propounded in the 1930s during the Great Revolution. Now, during the industrialization age of Europe, we had it actually just looks at the different ways, the different things or stages that the growth, the nature of the growth of population among many of the now developed nations through their stages of development. Now, according to this theory, we had the first one where we have low birth rates, high birth rate and high death rate. Now, after a while, into medical facilities, we now have high birth rate and low death rate. Now, what happens here, in the first case, population is on the increase because there's higher birth rate than death rate. Now, when things start happening medically, birth rate still became high because there was now lower mortality rates, while there was a lower death rate. Still, population was on the increase. Now, at the third stage, we had low or decreasing birth rates and low death rates. Here, population will be dropping because people no longer give birth to much children, and at the developed stage we now have what? Low birth rates and decreasing death rates. Not that death rate is totally low because of some other causes, that death rate is decreasing but birth rate is low, and at that point this birth rate is kept at a low point when certain population control measures are put in place. For instance, compulsion to have a fixed number of children, which is implemented in certain countries of the world today. Then we have the family planning programs and so on and so forth. All these things put a check on population that will lead on birth rates that will make it what? Low. In this case, the number of births will not be so high and the number of deaths will be decreasing. Now, this actually wraps up our study on population. We will be showing you some questions on the screen. You take a look at them and try to attempt them, and where you have problems, get back to the video.